All right. What is up, everybody? Good to be back. We have so just being honest, I scheduled the stream and Kyle was doing his routine, like, hey, what's everybody's topics for this week, kind of thing. And I didn't know what to do. Um, I was drawing a blank. I was like, we just did some gameplay. Maybe we don't want to revisit that. I was like, I have no fucking clue. I said, Kyle, just call the stream suspense. And I'm just gonna use whatever they drop on the first, and that's gonna be my topic. Um, that was the plan, and boy, did they deliver. So we officially have a stream topic, which is great. Um, Now what that topic actually is, of course, we are going to dissect the announcement. We're gonna go through every single piece. There's actually a lot of hidden gems in the announcement that is definitely worth talking about. We're gonna talk about my initial thoughts on the announcement, and there's also been some online discussion, and I kind of wanted um to kind of just, you know, pull back some of the emotion and give just a logical thought process on why people are feeling a certain way and why people may not. I'm not saying I'm the arbiter of truth or the voice. I'm just simply trying to remove some emotion from it and just say, look, this is why people are feeling this way, maybe. And maybe people get a better cohesive understanding of what's happening from that. And yeah, that's going to be like the main topic. We're, of course, going to go over some Nats results as well. We got some of those we got to go through. We have Josh and I are going to commentate Hong Kong Nationals one more time. Not one more time, but coming up in a couple days on Friday night if you're in the US. And then we're also going to do Saturday night as well, of course, for the last half in top eight. Just as our routine schedule, basically. I think we've done Hong Kong Nats all but once. Um, who is feeling what way? Basically, there's a lot of discussion on whether they think the new set is a good direction slash bad direction. And I just want to kind of decipher some of that and give some opinion on it. And I guess since we're already talking, let's kind of save that. Let's go ahead and hit some Nats results. Let's go ahead and dive into that. As always, if you have any questions about anything, feel free to throw them in chat. I'd love to get to them. Love to answer any questions. And yeah, let's go ahead and hop into what we have so far. So here is the week 2 Nationals results. Obviously, this does not include when they say week 2. I don't think the U.S. counted because we were like on our own island in that situation. So basically, there was U.S. Nats. There was a calling the week after, and then the next week was the first week of Nats, quote unquote. So this is the second week. It doesn't feel like the second week, but it is. And I think everything here looks as you would expect, right? Everybody's playing Syndra, but nobody's winning with Syndra except one person. We have, Gravy's doing good. The one surprise here is actually Slippy. Slippy's actually doing really, really well. And, it's not a surprise. I think it's good into Gravy, right? You have Go Again, you have Disruption, you have just access to a lot of different tools. Then you're decent. You're really good into Syndra, right? Because you have all the disruption in the world. That's exactly what you kind of want to be doing. The rest of the matchups can be hit or miss. You're good into Dio. Really bad into Mario, and then Verdance is probably not great because she has a lot of DRX to just kind of shut down whatever you're doing. And then Assassins have been historically bad into Prism. However, Prism's had a very lackluster kind of win rate in regards to the national season. It's been relatively low, like sub 50% in a lot of Nats. However, with that being said, she is starting to kind of convert, which is, depending on whether how you feel about gravy as a breath of fresh air. And also, we got the obviously the BNR announcement that was not a BNR announcement, basically, and just said all is good, which is, I think that there were a lot of people that if you asked them, what they thought was going to happen, that was probably 50% of their answers. And you know, there's nothing. I think Gravy Bones is like the only deck currently that you could even think about taking a card from, and he's a brand new hero, so they're not going to do that, or they haven't kind of set the tone that they're willing to do that, especially with the logistical situation that just happened with high seas. It'd be a very risky uh thing to take on. But other than that, the only thing in contention would that you could even dream up would be Reaping Blade, and that's not a balance ban. That is just a don't want to recreate the situation that was top four of U.S. Nationals, and they decide to roll with it. Now that can mean one of two things. That can mean that they're still working on a ruling solution for that situation, which is obviously going to take a lot more time, or they're just willing to go with it, and that's up to them on how they want to handle that, because it will be a situation in the future as long as that card exists, as long as you have another hero that wants to dabble in some life gains. So just hope they're ready for that. So yeah, let's go ahead and hop into the main topic, which is obviously the new set. We have the new set Super Slam. And how do I break this down? Okay. So obviously we got two Guardians and we have two Brutes. We have the KO reprint. By the way, I called it to a T last stream. Last Wednesday, I said that a year and a half ago, this set was in their dev cycle and KO had a hot start. So they're going to cover the reprint on KO. I have the receipts last stream, guaranteed your money back. I said, final answer, we're going to get the KO reprint, which means we're going somewhere near the Savage Lands. And here we are. Not the Savage Lands, but we got our KO reprint. I mean, I had it on the money. I'm not sure that's why this set is coming out right now, but we're going to roll with it because I was right. So we're just going to double down on that. Kind of bummed that I'm like one of the only ones in my local scene hyped for this set. But I guess that's exactly what happens when you say pro wrestling. And that's what we're going to talk about. It seems to be a very divisive set, if you will. And none of it's we're not going to do any, we're not going to talk down on it. I'm just going to logically approach both sides and say, maybe you guys should consider this and maybe you guys should consider this, that kind of approach to it. How's the Brute matchups into Gravy? I'm going to start because your go again is very situational and it comes in at a higher opportunity cost. It's probably not great. Thank you for not calling it SummerSlam like every other content creator. Is SummerSlam? What? That Super Slam sounds way better because there's a Shrek game called Super Slam. So that's what I'm going with, the actual name. So Josh was obviously heartbroken by the fact that there was no Warrior. But he did get Warrior cards in the Hunted. He definitely got Warrior cards in the High Seas too. He got to escalate some bloodshed, but we're not gonna rehash that. So all right, let's break it down. Okay, the general consensus online has been you have one side that is either a Guardian, Brute player, or just they enjoy wrestling. And they are super hyped for this set. And that's awesome. That is amazing, right? Anytime that LSS can produce a product that people can get excited for, I'm here for it, right? And so Then there's the party that does not fit into that, right? And they are, let's say, not as hyped. That's the way that I'm going to put it. And, you know, because the set does seem to have, a kind of a niche to it, if you will, I guess is the correct way to say it. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing in any way. I'm just simply stating that it is. X percentage of the population watches wrestling, right? We'll say maybe 2%, right? Whereas like something like football, baseball, soccer, something like that, you approach numbers like 10 to 15% of the population, probably, in a much larger demographic, right? So by definition, the accent of the product, it is niche, right? But that's okay. It's okay to be, it's okay to have a niche angle. That's literally, card games exist in a niche angle. We are the minority, I guarantee you. You have any conversation outside of our circle about what card games are, and everybody just says Pokemon. You're like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We are in that circle. So this is just basically doubling down on the idea. Is effectively what it is. Before I get into kind of the two sides and some thoughts, and kind of, in an effort to kind of cool everybody down with a little bit of dose of logic, I want to address one specific thing that I saw, that I'm not going to say who, and it was way more than one person. It was like probably 10 different people. Basically, were saying that the people that were criticizing the set should not be criticizing the set. And anybody that's watched my stream for any period longer than a day or two has known that I don't shy away from criticism. In fact, I am usually the one that is standing at the front of the line to give it. And that's okay. But the one thing that I really want, one of my favorite quotes of all time, I absolutely love it, is, we find comfort among those who agree with us and growth among those who disagree. And that one right there just really hits home for me, basically, to kind of give the idea that it's okay. It's okay to voice that this set, that you don't like it. That is perfectly okay. And in fact, in my opinion, it's okay to shout that from the rooftops. And I want to explain why my thought process is that way. Because I love to be positive as much as the next person. However, anytime you design a product for consumers, aka us, the players, you have to create something that we like. If you don't, you won't be making it for long. Period. That's how all consumer product business works. If you don't make a product people want, you will not be making it for long. So the community is effectively a barometer. Okay. That's how it should let me actually, before I go and explain that, let's run through a hypothetical situation, right? You could say, you could make the argument that nobody should say anything negative because the sales data will give them the feedback that they need, right? And then we're just, not we, those people are just throwing fuel in the fire for no reason, right? Which is a valid thought process, right? But I would beg the question that, let's say that one set just tanks, right? The sales data comes in and it's just like 50% of all the other ones, bright lights. And basically, if the community just didn't say a word, right? Nobody said anything. Everybody just had their pom-poms out and they were They were, cheering. How would they know to not do that again? They could take a guess. They could say, I don't know, let's just name a set like bright lights. Okay, they'd be like, all right, let's don't do an all one class set because people didn't like it, right? People voted with their wallets that they didn't like that idea, and we shouldn't do that again, right? But what if once again, I'm just making a very hypothetical situation. I'm not saying this is actually why, because I don't fucking know. I'm just somebody in front of a camera. What if the problem with bright lights is the fact that 90% of the card pool was just another card scaled down in power level, aka 0 to 50, a bunch of limping zipper hits and some whack ass throttles, and the set didn't really have any substance? What if that was the issue? Well, if the community doesn't give feedback on why they do or do not like something, then their whole process of adjusting and learning, they're guessing. And I'm telling you, that makes their job way harder. Now, let's flip the script a little bit. There are some inefficiencies in the community in regards to some people's opinions are louder than others. Some people scream louder. So, and that's an inefficiency of the dynamic. But you can't fix that. You can't do anything about that aspect. And that's why LSS has to take everything at surface level and say, okay, I understand where they're coming from, but like they don't know shit. Right? And you have another person over here that's like, okay, that's like a well-developed argument. Maybe we could do something like that in the future. And maybe nothing comes of it. And then you might have another person that has like a really good fucking idea and they actually execute it. I'll give you a perfect example. I can guarantee you with 100% certainty that the reason LSS started creating their gold foils in extended art is because the collector community bitched about it. They said, why should the most expensive version of the card have less art on it? And I guarantee you somebody at LSS said, damn, they right. Okay, but if we all would have just sat around and clapped and said, woo, gold foils that don't look as good, it would have never gotten done. That change would have never come to fruition. Ever. It would not have happened. Well, maybe it happened, but they literally did it. And then, I guess they never did it. So like they would have to naturally come to that conclusion, which maybe it happens, but maybe it's 10 sets from now instead of now. Right. So the whole point of the past 15 minutes of me talking to the camera has been to give the idea of we should give feedback. Period. If you love it, let them know you love it. If you hate it, let them know you hate it. All that I ask is whichever side you're on, tell them why you love it. Tell them why you don't. So they can learn from it. Because they're going to take risk. They're supposed to take risk. That's the whole idea. And we have to be the ones to provide that feedback. So anybody that's just bashing people for giving feedback, let's pump the brakes a little bit. I mean, you do your thing. Like I don't have any control over the situation. I'm just saying that if everybody in the room was to stay quiet, we would have a worse game today. I can guarantee that to a T. In fact, ask anybody at LSS If the whole community stayed quiet the whole ride, will we have a better game today or a worse game? And I guarantee you, every one of them would say we had to they would probably say something along the lines of we had to filter through a lot of bullshit, but we have a better game today because of it. And that is, you know, that is, that's the point that I wanted to make. So please, everybody, feel free to give feedback. Doesn't matter what the fuck the feedback is, whether it's positive, negative. Nobody wants a room full of people that just feel like they can't disagree or learn something. I mean, it's phenomenal. Now, let's pivot a little bit to away from the context and just my personal opinion on the set, just for anybody that's wondering. And I'll start reading chat now. I apologize. I had to get that through because I wanted to really make sure everything was worded correctly, and I still probably fucked it up. When I first saw this set announcement, when the trailer ended, I was a little bit confused, and it reminded me of a previous moment in Flesh and Blood, and it reminded me of the Rosetta set, and I recall watching the Rosetta trailer. You have the heavy metal music with, well, not really heavy, it was decently heavy. You have Florian music, right? And it's just, normal Flesh and Blood, just epic, right? And then you have Verdance, right? Which is like still epic in its own way, right? Maybe not some heavy metal music, but like just beautiful, right? And then you go to Acilio, which is like this badass giant thing of energy, right? Or whatever the fuck he is. I don't fucking know. And then all I hear in my headset is Arcane Loser and Aurora pops up. And the first thing that I thought about Aurora is I knew it felt different than everything else. And I was almost confused about it. Now I was interested. I'm a Runeblade player. I love playing Runeblade. I just noticed that there was something about Aurora that was just different. I don't know. I couldn't put my finger on it. And, I'll admit at the beginning, I was like, I don't really know how I feel about this hero. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't, like jive with like the world of Wraith and like, Dorint the Iron Song and then Aurora, it's like, I didn't know how to feel about it. But guess what? Then a week went by and I never had that thought ever again in my life. Because at the end of the day, it didn't fucking matter, right? And so when I saw this ad or trailer, whatever you want to call it, now the chat's got me saying SummerSlam. When I saw Super Slam, the set, I had that same feeling. I was like, this kind of doesn't feel like Fab. Like I used to watch a little bit of wrestling when I was a kid, but like I never got super into it because I realized really quickly that it was all fake, and it to be honest, it just kind of ruined it for me. But like I had the same feeling. But guess what? Probably in a week, it won't fucking matter, right? So at the end of the day, the whole point of me telling, my opinion on it, is, some people are not going to like the thematic aspect of it. And also you have Brute and Guardian, which Brute needed some love. I'm here for it. All the Brute players out there, I hope this is you. I hope this is Scowling Fleshbag 2.0. I hope that you get a codex. I hope, you have been waiting for something. And I hope you can get there with one less card. The intellect hero. No, I think he's actually kind of pretty decent, actually, believe it or not. But like, I'm here for it. I'm all for it. And especially the guitar thing, the Guardian guitar thing. Like, it was like when it started out, it was like KO, and then it was like Tough Nut or whatever his name is. And then it went to the Guardian, and I was like, I had that exact same like Aurora thing where I was like, a Guardian with a guitar in an arena. I was like, this has a story behind it. I don't know whose story it is. I don't know who James White modeled this character after, but like it's different. It is very different, and I'm going to give it a shot. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. But it's very interesting. It's very interesting to say the least. Let me get caught up in chat real quick because I really do apologize. I've adamantly neglected all of you for quite some time. 31 expansion slot cards. We fixed max. Nope, not gonna happen. That's the vibe. What's the vibe? I just broke it all down. SummerSlam is the name of a real WWE pay-per-view. Good to know because I had no clue. That's why it's in the mouths of the content creators. Ah, that makes sense. I think Warrior card will be the artwork with the Warrior sitting on the Brute. I think we already have that card. Do we not? Oh, I thought it was this one. You might be right. You may be entirely correct. Would love to see it. I just don't like that they made the deathmatch arena feel silly. I mean, they did give it a much less. Well, okay, let's flip that thought process a little bit. And what if, because if they just visit the deathmatch arena and it's the same thing, is that exciting? Historically, right? When they have revisited things, I don't know, like Dust Till Dawn Monarch. Dust Till Dawn was kind of performance wise, maybe a little under average. I don't know. Like, I think it might have actually been riskier to just go back with the same thing. Like, here's a warrior, here's a brute. Like, let's do the same thing, right? I think you got to spice it up, and maybe that's the reason that they went all in on this kind of niche, you know, situation with the set. It kind of, it's flavorful. Some flavors are bad. I mean, and that's the point I'm trying to make, right? And it's okay to say it is. I don't feel like they made Deathmatch Arena silly. It's playing to the crowd, the cheers, the boos, the suspense. I mean, I love the idea of the boos and the cheers and how there's like a good and a bad side, like, or maybe not good and bad, but like willing to do anything to win, and then people with integrity, I guess, is the more accurate way. The set feels more gimmicky. I understand that thought process, and maybe that's. I mean, maybe they're just trying something. Like I don't know. I also really dislike the charms having the giant hero names in the art. I did think that that was a little weird. Not gonna lie. Because also, right, I'm assuming that there will be another Guardian with this talent. And what is he gonna play it? That's looking weird, right? Um, but I mean, also these are super rares, so keep in mind that this says for one night only, which the way that I am interpreting that is the super rares are back just for this set, and then they're gone. That's how I'm reading it. So this is not a permanent thing at all. And maybe that's just how they had to do it to maybe balance draft. They had to put that kind of in between rarity where, they wanted it to make some appearances in draft, but maybe not every single person get one kind of thing, which would be the difference between a rare and a super rare. These nuts. The boos are also part of the set. Yep. When's the last time they did a two class set? Yeah, Rosetta was the last time. Very, very recently. It turned out great because it was all Briar esque. I personally don't have interest in the set, but love the creativity. It shows LSS isn't afraid to try new things, which is how you grow. Thank you. I 100% agree, right? Whether I like it or not, I'm happy that they're taking chances. Because nobody wants to go to Volcor for the 14th time. Nobody, they have to push the envelope. They have to, keep things interesting. Now, granted, this is such a niche thing, right? The and also one thing that I want to kind of lead with is we have known that a lot of people at LSS, including James, I think he said it several times, is a huge wrestling fan, right? Like massive wrestling fan. You can see it in the choke slam. I mean, there's so many cards um, that kind of have that tip of the hat to wrestling and James has actively said that it was a huge part of his childhood, I think, and he absolutely loved it, and that's cool, right? And like this is them expressing that, and that's okay. Um, Now, if people are receptive of it, then like that's cool. You do your if this is your thing, let them know. Maybe they do it again if enough people like it. But if not, okay, this was like a one time thing that they tried, and we'll see where it goes from there. Not a big deal. They don't take risk. I think they've taken some. All I know is the announcement is convincing me to buy into high seas. What do you mean by that? Am skipping this set like Rosetta since there are no classes that I want in this set. Now that's actually a good point that I do want to address is you do have the fact that it's only two classes, right? And the most interesting part is one of the classes is already getting support via the mastery pack. So effectively, the way that you should approach this from a product design standpoint, right, is in a hero based game, they have 12 months in a year in which they can produce a product that makes certain player bases happy, right? Um, because I can guarantee that if you're a wizard player and they go 3 years without making a wizard set, the odds of retaining you as a player, I'm not going to say it goes to zero. I'm just saying I guarantee you it is less than if they made one. So, any opportunity that they have to release two products at the same time to encompass more people is better for the game. But doubling down with Guardian Mastery Pack and a set with chat, I don't think you guys know, but what is there going to be 7 Guardians? How many Guardians are we going to have in the format? We got Bravo, we have Betsy, we have Victor, we have Valda, we have Jarl, we have these two. Chat, when this set drops, because none of those heroes are, and then you had the Jarl deck. So all within like a 6-month period, you had 2 armory deck because the chick's gonna get one that they showed in the ad. So 2 Guardian class got 2 armory decks. One of them was an Origin, whatever they called it. A dedicated product and a set in which they consumed half the cards from because there's 2 Guardians in there in a 4-class set, which is, I'm gonna be honest, that's like a diabolical move. That I, I don't. That's a part where I'm like, okay, I don't know why the fuck that happened. I'll admit that is one where um, that was a choice. That was a choice that you can make. I get it. Because that I mean, like let's say that you could take that mastery set and make it what's something we haven't had in a while. I gotta look at a list. Sorry, let me pull something up. I'm trying to think. And I'm gonna keep moving through chat, I promise. I promise. Trying to cover this stuff as I go. Let's go to okay, so we haven't had a set that has had what class in quite some time. And the answer to that is not mech, it's not assassin, it's not runeblade. Damn sure ain't ninja, that's for sure. So oddly enough, the thing that has gone the longest is illusionist. That is the class that has gone the longest amount of time without getting a hero. Assassin, hunted. Ranger, ICs. Guardian, this one. Ninja, you had MST and hunted. Mech, you had Puffin. Warrior, you had Fang. Wizard, you had Rosetta. So MST and Illusionist is the last thing that we received. Or it's been the longest amount. So you could have, what I'm saying is theoretically what could have happened from a product release standpoint is you could have done this set, Super Slam, and then you could have done basically a illusionist mastery set. And you could have covered a much larger swath. That's kind of cruel to do a guardian thing and then an illusionist mastery set. But hear me out. I'm just saying you cover more of the player base. Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Super Slam was actually perfect from a design standpoint as far as filling that gap, right? Because if you removed Super Slam, then Guardian and Brute are the classes that have gone the longest without support. So like the set makes perfect sense. What doesn't make sense is why is Guardian Mastery Pack happening now, releasing at the same time as Super Slam with 2 Guardian Armory It just seems like a lot. Now they need some milk. Don't get me wrong. Guardian needs a lot of milk right now. But like do it with less product. It is like my opinion. I don't know. Because now like let's say you have zero interest in Guardian or Brute. Like you're waiting a while. And I don't know. Maybe adding another class in there with the mastery pack. All I'm saying is that maybe it would have been a little better. Let me get caught up in chat. No one wants a bunch of yes men. Tell them, Andy. Tell them. By the way, it's okay to be a yes man if that's how you feel. I'm not saying like don't be a dick just to be a dick. I'm just saying that it's okay to disagree and criticize things. I think it's perfectly okay. If somebody walked up to me and said, Nathan, you absolutely suck at streaming. You should change these things. I would 100% welcome that statement as long as it wasn't coming from Vera. And, I would take it as criticism. I'd be like, okay, are they right? Can I find any data points in which they would be right? And if I can, I would make the change. And I would literally thank them for saying that. I mean, because I just want to produce the best stream that I can with the time that I can dedicate to it. Simple as that. I'm relating so hard right now, bro. This was me. I've never felt so understood. I'm glad. I'm glad it. I haven't played Brooder Guardian much at all, but the revealed the reveled aspect seems interesting enough to intrigue. I mean, maybe that's enough to save it. I don't know. At least they are making sure they focus on reprints and expansion slots. I mean that I'm all on board with that, 110%. You're just saying that because Aurora was busted. I mean, that's fair. I don't I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. Oh my god, I'm so far behind in chat. Oh my god, I gotta get caught up real quick. And Nathan, I want to go to the Volcorp for the 14th time. Hang on, you guys are killing it. Hang on, I gotta get caught up. Holy shit, I was behind. I am so far behind in chat. I am sorry. Um, Bird is gonna get siloed. I mean, it could happen. It could happen. I'm new to Fab. What do people mean by siloed? So they come out with a warrior set, but like all the cards interact with daggers, whereas all the previous warriors that came before him uh basically have nothing to do with daggers. So what that effectively does is it gives you the illusion of card expansion and card pool when in reality it fucking doesn't. Because if you're a Dorinthia player, you got no business with fucking daggers. So all these 1400 dagger cards don't do anything. Now I'm not saying that that's what happened. I'm just saying that's the idea of siloing. Um, another example would be like you have something that just only works with yellow cards or blue cards or whatever. That's another way of siloing, right? They can make a necromancer that doesn't give a shit about blue cards and just gives shit about red cards. That doesn't expand the gravy card pool, right? Because gravy wants to run a bajillion blue cards, right? That's kind of the idea. Um, Weatherman doing the barometer comparison is quite based. I'm a bit behind the stream. I am too on chat. I mean, like Draconic in Hunted is an example of siloing. Kind of. I would say the dagger would be the better example. Fab has always had a bit of goofiness lurking among the serious. That is true. All the Pound Town and heavy hitters, maybe heavy hitters like the whole arena death match. That's where they LSS just gets all of it out, all the puns and the innuendos and all that stuff. It's not SpongeBob Secret Lair, so be thankful. It's not high art. It's a card game. That's a good way to put it. This set looks a little bit like Hearthstone. Uh, I have you. You're actually like the 10th person to tell me that. Um, is wrestling a thing in New Zealand? Because I'm not that. I have no clue. You're asking the wrong person. I live in Alabama, bro. That's like the complete opposite of New Zealand. I think Deathmatch Arena is based off the Coliseum in Rome. Just my opinion, but if so, there was definitely music spectacle. Oh yeah, for sure. I think people need to lighten up. That could be it. Fun is good. I'm here for it. There you go. Ellis has repeatedly said that they designed the game where they are okay with the players taking sets off. There you go. That's it. Uh, they love for people to buy everything, but don't want people to feel forced to do so. The problem is this set's for Worlds, so I don't have a fucking choice. Um, I feel like I'm the minority here, but it does want the same old return sets if they push story along. Maybe. I think the lore has kind of like fell behind a little bit. I know they used to do a lot, and maybe I'm just not looking for it, and they still do it. I'm willing to admit that as well. I need to know why LSS hates Savage Lands. I mean, yeah, you're probably gonna get a lot of rally cries on that one. Uh, Don't hate the carnival. Everfest was a good set. Everfest initially was the worst set ever, but I think it was actually one of the best. Uh, when it had time to kind of age a little bit. Uh, releasing next. They did a smart move releasing it next to Guardian Mastery though. I don't think that was a smart move. Um, they tripled down Smash Palette. Yeah. Well, does that really count? That's like whole separate thing. I don't know. It's a way to make sure there's no interest with Guardian Mastery. If a new player buys into the Super Slam or Mastery, they're also now encouraged to buy into the others. It's interesting. This set feels like an MTG Infinity. I've heard several people. Yeah, I've heard of a lot of those. Heard a lot of those. That's what I love about Fab is you don't have to dive into every set. You play what set speaks to you. That's why we have a secondary market if you want to target specific cards. There you go. Easy. Might be a little less weird if the Master set didn't get pushed back. That's true. It did have a delayed launch. That is true. I don't think it changes a lot. Like if Mastery Set came out a month ago, does it really change the dynamic? It still means in a 6 months period, all this shit released, right? Every class has had good representation in the past 1.5 years. I 100% agree. They've done an amazing job on making sure that, like I said, I had to go all the way back to MST, which was a year ago, to find the class that has last gotten direct support from a set. That's literally perfect. That means in a year's time, they took care of everybody. Was it the set that you wanted? Was it the set you dreamed of because it puts your class to the top? Maybe, maybe not. But they can't do that with every single class, every single set, right? And but in that regards, they have literally executed perfectly. Now, if there's one class that gets left behind in the next year, everybody's going to blame Guardian Mastery Pack. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. They're going to be like, that could have been my Illusionist product. Gravy is Illusionist. I do agree. Guinness is rotting in the retirement home. I not gonna lie to you. I completely forgot merchant was a thing. And I feel terrible. But what can you do? Okay, I'm almost caught up in chat, everybody. I'm almost caught up in chat. Last Real Wizard was like Iceland. I mean, I like Verdance. I think Verdance was a success. Slow start, picking up steam, not overly oppressive, but good. I think it's a good storyline. I don't know if it was pushed back a lot. I have no idea. I know it got delayed. I don't know by how much. The only bad thing of this set is another 2 talents. Yeah. Oh God, it refreshed. Now further. Oh no. Only bad thing about this set is another 2 talents. We're gonna get a lot of niche card. That is true. That is, and that's. I think the best way that they're managing power creep is by siloing, which, if you think about it, is actually kind of brilliant. Because then it's a slight disservice to people that are like just dedicated to a hero, right? Because they're getting very rare upgrades. But from a power creep perspective, the idea of siloing is actually a beautiful idea, because it literally accomplishes everything you would want. The set can still have hype, it can still be good, but it makes the balancing down the road a lot easier. But it does come at a price, right? Like you got here warrior players that are gonna, the next set that has warrior in it when all the pumps only apply to uh, you know, swords with no hilts, then like, yeah, they're gonna be pissed, right? Because they're gonna have to completely abandon 90% of their card pool to play that, because all of their previous weapons have a handle. Um, but be ready for that. You also don't have to build a deck to enjoy a set. The game is built for limited. I agree with that statement after high seas. But before that, I don't know. Limited's just never been my thing. Uh, I actually talked to Brian about this. I was like, I've never like drafted for fun. I've drafted because it's part of the competitive process and I've learned it. But I've never just done it for fun. But high seas was at that level where I would do it for fun. I think the new demand for supplemental sets just means the expansion slot has really not been used to its fullest potential. Maybe. Next, Necro can't actually use Gravy's card pool, which is interesting unless it's just another form of siloing. As a Guardian main, I reject from the Guardian class. It's not just believable. Vada is a perfect example of a proper female guardian. I mean, the axe is the rock star axe it's different. I'll give you that. Jury is out until we see the rest of the set. To be honest, that's fair. That's fair. With how expensive stuff is, I'm pretty happy to take sets off. That's true. Then and some reprints to kind of help you out with that as well. Um, I am, I think it's fine. She's gaining confidence. Yeah. Regarding the lore, Corey J. White on Blue Sky said that she got hired to do more story writing starting with this set. That's awesome. That is absolutely. Was she a previous writer and then she's coming back, or is she just somebody fresh? Either way, it's great because literally they're just taking, initiative on it and actually dedicating resources to it. Okay. I am finally caught up in chat. One thing I want to do real quick is kind of go through the announcement and pick out some like Easter eggs, kind of like the everybody thinking that super rares are back for good when they're probably not. I just want to kind of pick, and then we'll have initial analysis of all the new heroes, kind of my thought process going into it. Um, I've been giving them a lot of thought because they're very interesting, and I'd love to give my thoughts, especially on this one and how it differs from a lot of people. Um, okay, so first things first. So also, I don't know if anybody saw it, but no weapons in limited. Um, so it actually says just no weapons, just fist and wits. Draw on the crowd's respect as a revered hero or a revel role. Yeah, it doesn't say. It literally just says no weapons. It doesn't say. Um, it doesn't say just unlimited. Then, of course, we have the 5 intellect. That's no surprise. If you want to bring the pain to the gaming tables, feel the rush of opening stone cold foils. Be the best there is, best there ever was, and best there ever will be. Get in the ring. Yep, easy peasy. Then we have a little schedule on the release day. We'll go over the heroes in a second. Then we have the charms, which I think everybody's seen with 40 different super rare signature moves. Wait a second. You could read this two different ways. You could read this as 40 different super rare signature moves, as in like that's a ton. 40? Oh my god, getting a play set of those? 40. They're super rare, so you can't get them in colors or in cycles. Holy shit. That's a lot. Then we got the world premiere in Montreal, of course. And then we have a couple cards. This one right here. Sorry. When this defends, you may pay up to 3 resources, create that many toughness tokens. Everybody is assuming that toughness tokens are what embodiments do for attacks. Everybody's just assuming that it's +1 defense for attack actions, which is pretty fucking good, to be honest. This actually allows for a really good conversion on a 3-card hand if you have tempo, because you can just throw the 7 and then convert it the extra card. It basically acts as a much better. It's actually very interesting. It's kind of like that Grasp of the Arknight vibe, where you need a resource dump and you get that, but it's just built into the card. And you don't have to lean into it, right? So as long as the opportunity cost of said card is not very high, then seems pretty good. When this attacks, same thing for might. So that's pretty interesting. Check the numbers here. 276 card set. Seems pretty standard. 42 majestics, 40 super rares. That's not normal. Holy shit. That is a lot. 5 legendaries, 1 fable. They actually have the pre-release kits, which is pretty cool. Makes just the logistical aspect of pre-release much easier. Stores just open a box, hand them out. Easy. Weighing it at 11 ounces. Whoever does this for Flesh and Blood, don't stop. Don't stop. Like, some puns, I don't even know, is that a fucking pun? I don't know. Whatever it is, actually fucking amazing, to be honest. Like, that is hilarious. Entering the ring for the first time, weighing 11 ounces. That's clever. I respect that one. That's good. That's good. Expansion slot, 31 cards, which is what, almost double what we normally see. I think we see like normally 15 to 16, give or take. So it's almost exactly double. And more support for existing heroes. Not only that, we're bringing back some all-time favorites with several key reprints. I'm all for cheaper cards. So if they end up reprinting Diplomacy and a bunch of other cards, cool. Let's do it. To do expansion slot replaces a basic rarity card once every 6 boosters. I don't know if that's a higher or lower rate than what is currently dropping. This would be 4 in every box. I would say that the average for me has been about 3 in every box. So I think that might be a slight uptick in the amount of expansion slot majestics per box. Very interesting, though. Very interesting. And then, of course, they're changing the placement. It's no longer the back 2 cards. It's just the front card. Which is just whatever reason they want to do that. And MSRP has not changed. So that's the overall review of the set. Let's see if we can go to, do we have cards yet in, no, we don't even have a section for that. So we're going to be going off of this. Okay. Let's go ahead and talk about this. The problem with this one is I have not even a guess on what a suspense counter is. From an aura you control. Okay. You may put a suspense counter on an aura of suspense. Okay. So you have auras in the deck, and then you have auras of suspense. Aura of suspense seems like a token. That seems like her token. And a suspense counter is just a fucking die that ticks up or down. No, because she has a confidence token. That's her token. Huh. That's interesting. I have no clue how to evaluate this hero, chat. I have zero clue. Don't even know where to start guessing. Because we don't know what any of this means. Like anybody that tells you anything just doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. Now this one. This one we're going in. Stole Celia's flow bar for bar, bro. Tell you what. Tough nut. All right. Spoiler alert, everybody knows that this is a rock hero. There's a couple things that I want to discuss before you get too excited. Because everybody's saying block 9, send 7, win the game, right? Which is really fucking good. That's literally 16 value per turn. With a great armor suite, because Brute has some of the best armor in the game. 16 value consistently every turn with just a deck full of blue cards. Here's a couple situations that I want to bring to light that you really kind of you have to take into consideration. What if the opponent does not let you block with 3 cards? Okay. What if they don't let you? What if you're playing against Syndra and they go head jab, you block it. They say head jab, you block it, and then they pass. And you have 1 card in your hand. You currently, in the game of Flesh and Blood, as a Brute player, do not have like a pitch outlet. I mean, you have some like one-ofs, right? Like you could run like Seeker's equipment and stuff like that. But like that is a flaw in the deck. If you build it that way, is what I'm saying. Now, there's a way to navigate this problem, and that is by loading your deck full of non-attack actions with Go Again. That block 3. And I think that's actually probably the optimal way to build this hero. So that way, if anybody ever tries that type of game pattern, then you can just dump your hand. You can play barraging beatdowns. You can play whatever the case may be. And literally intimidate their hand and deal damage. If they just sit around with their... So the problem with the block 2 is then they keep attacking. So if they send a head jab and you block a card, and then they send the second head jab and you block 2 cards, well, now they're just going to kill you. And in every ounce of value you got off of rock, you just gave up. Because now the problem with that dynamic is they get to choose, not you. Not you as the tough nut. So that's the interesting part. Now, I agree with you in regards to any hero that doesn't have access to Go Again, right? But that's kind of few and far in between. So I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of tough. And you just get dumpstered by stuff that you don't have a lot of reactions in blues, so you kind of have this situation where you can kind of get in a little bit of trouble. To anybody that wants to react, like Mario is going to be a very tough matchup for this hero. I can guarantee it. If they don't attack, you just roll scabs. Um, yeah, I mean, sure, you could do that, but what does your cost curve have to? Because every brute card in the game costs 3, just about 2 or 3. Okay, so if they pass, okay, I see what you're saying. So if you have a bunch of 3 block, 5 attacks, and they throw a head jab and you block a card and then you pass, you roll scabs because you have free opportunity cost, and if it misses, you just throw the blue 5, or you hit and you throw 5 into 7, which just wins the game if that happens a couple of times. That actually seems like a decent plan. Um, oh yeah, this dude's gonna get absolutely dumpstered by Kano. He's gonna say activate hero ability, and then Kano's gonna say in response kill you. Um, so yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see this. Overall, though, I will say that my initial analysis of this hero is in the current card pool, he's actually seems really good. Uh, Especially with the scabs thought process. Instead of going non-attack actions, maybe you go attacks and then just say, fuck it, if you're gonna let me roll scabs every turn and kill you, then we'll do that too. Um, that actually seems pretty decent, actually. Because then you can literally just play attacks that can intimidate, like Blue Smash Instinct and shit like that. So that seems like actually a pretty decent idea. Other than that, he's gonna have a gravy problem though, because you have to have like a go again sideboard package, whatever you may. It's an instant. You can do it on their turn for unmovable too. I mean, sure. But if you do it on their turn, you don't untap until the end of your turn. So if you use that for unmovable, you can't swing rock, which is not ideal. Back alley break line with this guy. Yeah. I actually mentioned that on Spin Dog stream yesterday. But uh the problem with that is you have to empty your hand and then hit it. So there's literally nothing you can do. The only move that you can make off the action point with back alley break line is if you have a 0 cost in arsenal. That's an attack. Or a 1 cost and you have tunic counter. Other than that, the action point on back alley break line literally means nothing. So overall, I love the design of this hero. I think it's very interesting and actually seems pretty good too. Uh, Now let's go to KO. I have no fucking clue how to even instant 4 cost. Target attack action card you control has 6 base. Does that even make sense? Let's just, I don't know. Let's look at fucking Rouse the Ancients, right? Let's actually do that. Let's just assume that there is a 0 attack card, which I'm assuming due to the old boy over here, there might be quite a few of them. You have a 0 cost card. If you pay 4 resource, and let's assume that 0 cost card cost 2, so it's a perfect curve. Then you're pitching 4 it would then be a 3 card because you're pitching 2 blues, playing the card. It would be a 3 card 6. Like what the fuck? Um I maybe because you have to remember, like the previous KO, he has the hero ability of everything in your everything gets +1 power. So it's very easy to get cards with 6. You don't have that on this one. So maybe that hero ability is not to actually increase the attack on a card, but to literally fulfill requirements for discarding shit. However, if that's the case, 4 resources is just astronomically expensive. Well, I mean, so let's look at Vipox. That's still the worst line on the planet. You're gonna let's even assume you have a tunic counter, right? Because Sash isn't a card. And you fucking pitch a blue, take your tunic counter for 4 resources, and make Vipox come in for 6. It's still a 2-card 6. It's gonna get blocked. Nobody's gonna take 12, right? What are we gonna start playing Razor Reflex in our KO deck now? Like that hero ability cannot be to actually raise the attack of a card that's attacking. I will say that if he has a lot of on-hit effects, this is a very cheeky way to have just a hero ability reaction because it's an instant and it says target attack action you control, which would be one that's on the combat chain. So theoretically, you could have a snatch on the combat chain they block for, and this acts as a reaction, which sounds way better than everything I said leading up to that. So I think that this hero should be read as he has a +2 or 3 reaction built on his hero. Which actually thematically fits the name, Underhanded Cheat. Because he has the ability to play reactions off of his hero card. That makes so much more sense. Anything on the combat chain counts as controlling. In your hand is not a card you control. So I think that's actually what the hero ability is. It's literally a reaction. Also, look at these little things on the end. I just realized those. They look kind of good. I don't remember seeing that. There, it's obviously talent related, but I don't remember seeing that. Maybe I'm just out to lunch, but I don't know. So final answer. Oh, and he makes a vigor token, which covers this up. So he could play a bunch of 0 cost shit and pump it to 6 in a reaction, make a vigor token to use the tunic counter on the ability for the following turn. I see what's happening here, which also supports the idea of the cards that they have showed us. Guess what? They all cost fucking 0. Holy shit, I'm a genius. We figured it out. That's it. Fucking KO just wants to play 0 cost cards and then use the vigor to pay for the 4th resource on his hero ability. I will say though, he's going to draw some dog shit hands because you're going to have I guess you don't have to have a critical mass of blues, right? You just play like 15, 18 tops. And you're like, if you got it, cool. But if not, that's cool too. Like your hands still function. It's not like everything's expensive. You're so smart and handsome and good at card games. I'm just trying to catch up to you, Noah. That's it. I'm just trying to catch up to you. We figured it out. The first step in this whole process is reading the card. If you do that, the rest of it is actually a lot easier. Okay, let's move on to the last one. We got old boy here, and five intellect. Obviously, that's kind of where everybody's eyes go to. Just to kind of sum up I think it's very interesting on why this specifically is a two cost reaction versus um, a three cost. And I think it has to do with the difference of even and odd. Based on the hero ability, right? Let's look at some cards. He's Guardian, right? So let's look at some Guardian cards. Oh God, I do not want to know the stats on that. Good. Bravo. Okay. So red Guardian cards, when they actually populate. Uh, so this comes in for 8. This is my theory. So with his hero ability saying it cuts it in half, right? Uh, and this is assuming that he plays any Guardian cards. But if you look at the average rate on a lot of cards, it kind of aligns a little bit, no matter which direction you really go. But this would come in for 4 if you played it in his deck because it would just get halved. 8 divided by 2, 4. We're getting there on math. And the interesting aspect of it, where did I close it? Really? Oh no, it's right here. I just named it A, so it's like almost invisible. The yellow version of this card, the point that I'm ultimately trying to navigate to, if you divide 7 by 2, it's 3.5, which rounds up to 4. Therefore, you sacrificed 0 value by upping the pitch value of your deck, which in that exchange, you will always do. Let's take 0 for 4s as an example. Let's say we have the card Snatch, 0 for 4. In this deck, it makes 0 reason ever to run the red Snatch over the yellow. With the exception of if there's more than one way to turn off his hero ability. That is the only way it would make sense. Because the yellow rounds up to 2 regardless. So I think that's the significance of the 2 cost in his hero ability. That's why these costs associated with the hero ability, I think there's a larger story there than you know, there's a very good reason on why they cost what they do. The crowd boos you. We know that means he's going to create a might. Defending action cards you control gain +1. Note it says action cards. It doesn't say attack or non-attack. It just says all action cards. So effectively, he gets just Giga embodiment, right? Now, this is the interesting part, is how do you get more value from having a 5th card if all your stuff is halved? And the answer is like so on the nose that you just legit need things like stuff that have low attack, right? It's literally that simple. You will probably not play anything like Buckling Blow. You're not gonna play those Guardian cards because you take too much of a loss. You lose 4 value if you resolve this card. I just picked one out. I think significant. You literally lose 4 value if you resolve that card. Therefore, having 4 intellect did you no good because you lost a card's worth of value just to resolve this. And then you take the minus on the defensive end and including your equipment. Isn't it just to use Rampart? It could be. The problem is ultimately how he's going to utilize blues. But it very well could be, because Rampart does fit very well into what he's trying to do, right? Because Rampart is a base, obviously. Not like it would matter anyway. That's another good point, is that if you play auras, you kind of only you dodge the tax once. For every aura you play, you're, you know, kind of avoiding that tax. And we are seeing an aura synergy between the two guardians. Um, Here and here. A lot of them, there is a benefit to play auras. That we've already seen a lot of cards in Guardian Mastery Pack, and how, they are adding a lot more aura cards. And so that seems to be the theme going forward with Guardian, whether you like it or not. Um, that just seems like the way it's moving forward. Basically, whether and we can actually use this card as an example. Let's use this one. Whoa. These. Okay. So if Goldmane plays this, he loses 2 value. But then he can convert his extra card into 3. That still seems pretty bad. So this just seems like a rough card. I don't know. And maybe Rampart is the answer, because the ability that you get on it, defending action cards you control get +1 this turn, which obviously means you're wanting to activate that on your opponent's turn, which makes sense for Rampart, of course. So if you're getting +1, if you have 3 blocks, you're recouping the defensive value. So if you activate this ability, you get to block 1 and then recoup your defensive negative, which means that card generated you 1 value. Net value. Now you have 4 cards in your hand, and the attack on all of them get halved. So assume that you always lose at least 1 value on that exchange. Then it's just break even. It's literally break even. Pitch Rampart, you turn all your 3 blocks back into 3 blocks, and you gain an extra block. Now you got a 4-card hand. So now you're a 4 intellect hero, quote unquote, with +1 value. But now you're going to lose at least 1 value on attack, because it's going to get halved by at least 1. The only way the math makes sense is if you use auras and you only pay the tax like every other turn. This is interesting. Oh, but you get the might as well. Okay. So you're so you're break even if the hero ability loses 2 attack. You're a little bit ahead if it only loses 1. But what are you attacking with 2 attack? I mean, there's probably a lot. This is interesting. This is interesting. You are encouraged to play reactions. That's a good point. The problem with Pummel, though, specifically, is the higher cost of the card, the higher the base attack, which is the more you lose on the hero ability. So you don't want Pummel. Reaction's good, Pummel bad. Because let's compare Snatch and Razor to pummel CNC. Snatch, you only lose 2 value, and CNC, you lose 3. And then you just scale that up and you just keep losing more and more. Um, Obviously, it's a better combination. I'm just trying to show the math behind it. Oh God, everybody's saying Razor. We're not playing Razor and Guardian. I mean, we might. Uh, when this attacks a hero, you have more life than them. The crowd boos you. If you've been booed this turn, this gets +4. Okay, you wouldn't lose any value on this card. But if you are losing, this is the most dog shit card ever. Like literally. Does this get any better? When this attacks a hero, you may pay up to 3 and intimidate that many times. It comes in for 3. You lose 1 on the round down. You can use hero ability on their turn. Yeah, you always want to use the hero ability on their turn. For him, because you get the +1 defense. Yeah, do not play high attack power cards in this deck. I don't know, it's interesting. My knee-jerk reaction is I'm not saying that they would do this. I'm just saying is if there was ever a time to play it safe, it's when you get your first 5 intellect hero. I'm not saying they did. I'm just saying if there was ever a time. So I'm very interested to see. We have had a lot of cards. We've had, like somebody mentioned, we got Trot Along, we got NIMBY, we got, a lot of support. You have the Jack cards that have a base of 3 that get +1, so you lose 1 less on the rounding. I'm just saying. This deck will not beat Prism. I can guarantee it. Yeah, this is interesting, actually. I don't know. That's my best guess. I have no clue with her, not even a guess. We figured out that KO is a reaction and it should be treated as such. Doesn't apply to anything in your hand because you don't control cards in your hand. It is dog shit rate if you apply it to Vipox and cards like that. So this is literally a reaction for 0 cost cards. It's literally what it is. So if you wanted to make this a 6 out of nowhere, or this to get a, is there one with an on hit effect that actually fucking matters? There's not. But let's say hypothetically there is. This turns off his hero ability. Pro tip, do not play Humble into this guy because you just help him. Top card of your deck, if it has 6 or more power, create a Vigor token. But what are you doing with a Vigor token with him? I don't know about that one, Chief. Turn an aura permanent you control. All right, she's just all in on auras. You control an attack with 6 or more base, deal 2 damage to target hero unless they discard a card. Okay, we got a little reckless swing action. Okay, I see. What do you think of the giant-sized intro was all about? I have no clue. Probably overcompensating. That's my best guess. Come back, kid. When this attacks a hero, if you have less life than them, the crowd cheers. A little hero or arc, if you will. If you cheer this turn, it gets +1. So it is a wounded bull that blocks for 3. If wounded bull block for 3, it'd be a lot better card. Just saying. I'm just saying. You've been cheered this turn. This cost 3 less to play. So depending on the opportunity cost of cheer, does his hero ability cheer? I do not think it does. Who the fuck are you? Okay. Whenever the crowd cheers you, you create toughness. Oh, the crowd cheers you if it's 6 or more. So you, so you flip a 6 off the top. And now it's free. But it being free doesn't matter because uh, I mean, this is a 1 card 6, assuming you flip a 6. But you can't have that many 6s in your deck if you're playing rock. So this is like the most anti-rock card ever. Hummel with float? Okay. Why lie at the same height as Nathan? Hey. Hey. That's actually fucking hilarious. I'm exceptionally average height. Let's not get that construed. So please can play. Yep. But if you flip a 6, it's not blue. Yep. So it would have to be yellow, which does pay for pummel. That's fair. But like, nah, I don't know. That seems like a lot. Just saying. Uh Given the set fits Montreal very well. It's so cheesy. Kale might be able to get a second weapon slot. I mean, sure. The way it's worded. Yeah, it sounds like it. Exceptionally average. Got personality. That's it. Hey, we got to have something. That's the one we want, right? This set seems so goofy. I mean, maybe that's the vibes they're going for. I don't know. It is a little bit, though. I have to admit it. It, it is something in it. Also, somebody mentioned that like the art is backwards. Like, see how she's like facing the right? If you go to the card art, she is facing the left. Not that it fucking matters. I'm just saying. Just saying. All right. All right. So we did some things. We basically told the community that they should take a chill pill and let people voice their opinions. Nathan's face was on a box. Oh man. Yeah, we basically told the community that they need to take a chill pill and let people voice their opinions because that's how LSS can adjust the barometer and make products that we love and enjoy. And it's as simple as that. And if this is the set for you, love it. Enjoy it. If this is the class that you prefer to play, congratulations. I hope you enjoy the product as much as you possibly can. And if not, voice your opinions. That way they know, and they know not to go in certain directions or whatever they can, and the vice versa. If this is down your alley and they need to go down a more Hearthstone Avenue or whatever, like somebody said, uh, maybe that's the direction the game needs to go. If enough people actually voice that opinion. So just a thought process, and yeah, I'm gonna answer some questions for about another 5 minutes or so. I got a road trip in the morning going somewhere, and then I don't know how I'm gonna do it, chat. 4th of July, I gotta stay up all day and then commentate all night and then sleep and wake up because Hong Kong is 12 hours ahead of us, I think. So the event will not start until like 8 or 9 at night. It's gonna be a little brutal. It's gonna be, and there's draft in it. Oh God, Josh. Next time I gotta talk him into recording it. It's brutal. I'm telling you. Like a kidney stone. Yeah, that's probably what it's gonna feel like. That's probably what it's gonna feel like. I don't know. But we're gonna give it our best. So what that translates to is chat. It's going to be your job to go into chat during. No, I'm not going to Hong Kong. I am commentating Hong Kong Nationals via the power of the internet. Um, and just like Josh and I always do, we have somebody there that just sets up the camera and everything. It is not a Savage Feats setup. I will admit, but we do our best. There are some great players in that region, and I think that it's very important to show those players and what they can come up with. So we make a sense to we make it a priority to showcase that. Cardboard commentator. Tell you what. You think the big badass rock axe will be in the armory deck? Probably. I mean, the set literally said no weapons. It didn't say unlimited. It just said legit no weapons, which is wild. Like my thought process is like, okay, it's like a limited dynamic where you don't want, you don't want to lead to like fatigue states, and so they like came up with that solution. Like that's cool, but like have a have their signature weapon in like the expansion slot. But the axe in the armory deck makes perfect sense. Forces everybody to buy it as much as you love or hate that. Not a road trip to Hong Kong. No. Just taking a normal 4th of July road trip. Where did it say no weapons? Allow me to show you real quick. So right here it says Super Slam pits Guardians and Brutes against each other in a sensational smackdown with no weapons. Just fist and wit. Doesn't say just unlimited. It doesn't say any of that. That could be implied. I will admit that. That could be something that is just implied. But this legit says, look, you get what you get. But then to me, like, all right, he's got mandible claw, right? Like, okay. We don't need that again. What the fuck is that? I ain't never seen that before. We got to get that, right? Because if we don't get that weapon, what the fuck's the point of this art? We got to get it somewhere. And we getting the axe. Like, we have to. Legit. It's like her whole thing. And this dude is just, of course, he's gonna play rock if he doesn't eat it. But that's what he's gonna play 100%. So yeah, that's what it is. Or that's where it says all of the great information. Both blondies have weapons on their art. Oh wow. I'm 100% in. We just got to get the weapons on the cards. You know, I'm just hoping they actually make that weapon. Yeah, they got to. You get a temporary weapon, like throwing a chair in the opponent. Yeah, you could have like temporary weapons. Um, which would explain the text on KO, or maybe you have like throwing sand in their eyes and shit like that. That's obviously a lot of words for a card, but you get the idea. Like kind of cheesy tactics that people have, um, and how you can kind of incorporate that. I don't know what the fuck that would do or what it would look like. I'm just saying, maybe. Back to the deathmatch arena and no aid for Betsy nor uh Olympia in sight, bro. Like, I mean, sure, Betsy may get support, but it's not gonna be enough. It's really into the wrestling flavor. I mean, there's always been there's no way they're gonna like throw chair. I know they're in the flavor, right? But it has to at least make fucking sense. Well, you know what? I take that back. There's a fucking guitar holding one of the characters. Like, okay, it does not. You're right. There's fucking chairs. They're gonna have 6 foot long tables that they're gonna set up, and they're gonna like throw people on them. You're right. You're right. I was trying to be logical and rational and be like that. It has to thematically make sense, but no, there's a fucking guitar axe. Like that whole argument kind of goes out the window when you realize that. Non attack sacrifices X tokens. You control. Cool. The weapon breaks after attacking. I don't know. Did you hear about the Betsy and Olympia thing? No. What Betsy Olympia thing? Are they giving them specializations that's going to increase their playability by 0? Someone said they were supposed to be like Scurv or limited only. But that got changed. Well, yeah. The fact that imagine those heroes if you have no weapons. They're actually bad. They're actually bad. They were never meant for CC apparently. Now, I think you may have it backwards. So they tried the thief class or a thief type character in heavy hitters. And that's where Olympia came from. He was the very late addition to the set to fill a role. Um I don't think they tried to fit him in that manner. Oh, well, see, Brian's literally here. Brian, just tell us what happened. This is like 10% correct. Um, okay. So, like, the story that I remember is that the thief class esque kind of character tried to fit into heavy hitters. It didn't work for like balancing purposes or whatever the case may be. And then, boom, Olympia came in to fill that role. I didn't hear anything directly about basically the thief being kind of Scurv-esque as far as like being a draftable hero, I guess is the correct way to say it. I haven't heard anything about a draftable hero prior to. Nope, was just a different warrior. Okay. Well, there. That's the facts. You can't argue with those. But that makes a lot of sense. Okay. So just a different warrior. I thought I remember somebody saying something about like a thievy kind of like, willing to do anything warrior. I mean, maybe it was a warrior. Maybe I'm taking those characteristics and labeling a thief because it makes sense. But maybe it was just that for a warrior. But okay, maybe someday. Maybe someday. I said somewhere that I wish we didn't make Olympian and Betsy CC heroes until late in the process where they were intended to be limited only. See, that's I've always had I think I've said it several times actually that I thought that Olympia and Betsy were essentially a solution to a limited situation. Um, and they just weren't built out. And that, I mean, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. But overall, Brian, since you're here, the set is interesting. The set is interesting. I it it took a minute to really, take it all in, but that's okay. That's okay. Um, Basically went through and just it's very different. It's very different. Taking chances on the intellect is awesome. Tough Nut looks insane for being very stupid. Uh, the the axe guitar is way out of left field, like way out of left field, and I hope it works. Very interesting. The no weapons. If you're willing to, are you willing to confirm that no weapon text line in the on the homepage is that no weapons for those heroes in limited, or is it just period? There is no weapons for those heroes in that set because it could be interpreted two different ways. Would Lyeth just not play pump auras? Yeah, so pumps and auras are the way. So the way that you should look at Lyeth's hero ability is there's a tax on any time you resolve an attack, right? Or a block. And auras and pumps are a way to diminish said tax, which allow you to just basically, dodge the tax man, as we always recommend. Legally, of course. Legally. Just play pump auras. There's no way we don't get. I mean, we have that. That's my thought process. Is we got to get the hammer. Got to get the hammer. That's actually hilarious. That we were like speculating on the thief thing, and Brian's like, actually, that's 10% correct. Oh, that's actually hilarious. But okay, so you could just do. You can't just have a weapon be a marvel though. It's interesting. Remember, don't pay your. I'd guess either 3 or 5. So hype for that guitar. I mean, the guitar part is wild, absolutely wild. Um, it's actually got me thinking that maybe I missed out on wrestling in my childhood. I mean, I watched a little bit, but nowhere near that much. Nowhere near. I still can't wrap my head around 40 different. That's the word. 40 different super rare signature moves, which means each one gets 10. That's wild. 10 different moves. They went all in on the thematic aspect of it. It's actually really interesting. Ryan, please confirm Dynamo reprint. I mean, as far as reprinting, what actually needs it? Hunter's Clave already got a reprint. They've reprinted CNC several times. I guess they could give it another go. E-Strike's already low enough. Diplomacy? Earth cards would be... You wouldn't be able to get ahead on Felling and Plow because when Rosetta was releasing, it would have been in the dev cycle of this, or maybe just after. So it can't be the Earth. What are some other... Yeah, it can't be Felling. Diplomacy 100% gets a reprint here, I think. Warmonger's Diplomacy. Shelter, no way. There's no... Like, it makes sense, like, looking in the future, but, like, there's no way... I mean, I guess there is a way. Like, if they just got a wizard sitting there at LSS doing all this, but, like, if there's a way to, like, you're releasing a card, and then before that card releases, you're establishing a reprint. That is wild. Arnivore, no way. I mean, CNC reprint does make sense. But God, how many times did CNC be run? I'm not gonna count the Kasai one because that was like super limited. I guess how late in the development cycle can you add an expansion slot card? I guess that becomes the question on whether Shelter gets a reprint. I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah, it could be Tunic. That makes sense. Reprint Lyeth with Nathan's face. Doubt it. Doubt it. That'd be a complete waste of cardboard. Nimblism. Expansion slot nimblism, bro. That is wild. Yeah, we just did CNC and Hunted. Diamond Amulet. We wish. See, E-Strike was where my head went to originally, but isn't it like a $30 card? Like, it's not even that bad anymore. Oh, God. It's starting. Wait, Lyeth is just Nathan? Oh, God. Balance of Justice. Yeah, that makes sense. That checks out. Crown of Providence already got a reprint. That checks out. I agree. Crown of Providence already got one, though. Oh, Crown of Dominion. That's a good one. Crown of Dominion, Balance of Justice. That's a lot of legendaries, though. And then Warmonger's Diplomacy. Those are the only 3 cards that, like, look, we need reprints. That's a lot for one set. What are we talking about? We're clearly going to reprint Fables, right? Definitely not. Definitely not. But overall, I'm just going to recap my thoughts on the set. It's going for a very niche audience with the heavy thematic aspect of the wrestling, which is cool. I like the risk taken, and you know, it's not something that particularly, I have zero nostalgia for wrestling, so it doesn't, it's not my itch. But at the same time, I am always on board anytime LSS is willing to take a risk, because I think that is just the most advantageous thing that you can do, especially in a ever growing TCG market. So and on top of that, the risk, they really doubled down on it with the change in intellect, which we had never seen before. So this is like a big risk set, and I'm down for it from that aspect. The classes, I've never been a huge brute player or guardian player personally, but I really like the idea of Tough Nut, to be honest. There is a world where maybe the guardians moving to an aura is just a... how do I say this? A thicker version of Briar, where you have like non-attacks and attacks, and they kind of have the same thing. The only thing that scares me a little bit, and maybe they manage this well, in Briar, you had to manage attacks and non-attacks. Runeblade in general generally does. And if you draw too much of one or the other, it's obviously a bad thing. Where the only worry I have with Guardian is you have the same dilemma if you go heavy into the aura game style. Uh, but you also, if I didn't draw a blue and Briar, it was not the end of the world. But now you have to balance a heavy blue ratio, a heavy R ratio, and a heavy attack ratio. It's a lot. It's a lot. And what I think that's going to do is shift the play style of the Guardians away from the super consistent, grindy kind of class into something that has a lot more variance injected into it. Once again, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that it seems to be the way things are changing, is all I'm saying. And I could be completely wrong. Guardian Pack Mastery could come out and it'd be way different. But um, that's just how it seems so far. Tough Nut looks sick. And I know so there ever since Rock came out, it was probably the best designed weapon that came out of, in my opinion, out of what was it, Dynasty? I think it was Dynasty where they had the majestic weapons. And if I'm not mistaken, I think was Rock one that Sasha worked on? I don't remember. I think I remember reading something where he did. Anyway, if he did, that would be sick. Um, so yeah, we got super rares for a limited time only, unfortunately. But Sandscour Grape, okay, that's fair. That's a pretty important one. Tough Nut, the Prism Killer. Could be. All right. We get caught up in chat real quick. SR weapons. To be honest, they take risk in almost every set, and that's a great thing. That's exactly what you want them to do. Diamond Amulets like 90, but there's no way they reprint the set after. That would just be wild. Now I gotta edit Lilith as a crawfish. Nathan's true form. See, that's how you know somebody's been watching the stream for quite some time. That's how you know. But I think they'll pay off. I mean, we'll see. We will see. Missed the start of the stream. Good to see you, Jacob. We went through a lot. We basically broke down initial thoughts on all the new cards. Told the community to take a chill pill and encourage all people to voice their opinions, because that's how I think you can provide the best environment to kind of read the barometer on the community and design the best product. My opinion, I could be wrong. All right. I appreciate everybody joining me. I sure do appreciate it. And I will see everybody for Hong Kong Nationals on Friday. Please stop by the stream. And if able, help keep me and Josh awake because we're going to be pulling all nighters to fulfill the requirements of the stream. And it's not going to be easy. So the more people we have interacting in chat, the easier it is to stay awake. I'm a huge fan of pro wrestling in these classes, so I love the theme. Appreciate it's not everyone's cup of tea though. And that's it. That's like exactly how it should be treated. Enjoy it, Jacob. This one's for you. This is like your Rosetta for me. Like simple as that. Simple as that. I was not around for super rares where they lowered the majestic. One would assume yes. So super rares so back when super rares existed, majestics were like 2 per box on average, and then super rares went to like 3 4 a box, give or take. And then what ended up happening was essentially they just scrapped the super rare rarity and just made them all majestics, and that's where you get to the current, 6 to 7 majestics per box. Um, how that's gonna be, I don't know how the fuck they're gonna do it now because you have a lot of majestics, you have a ton of expansion slot cards. I I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. I'll tell you that much. All right. Thanks everybody for joining me. Really do appreciate it. I will see everybody Friday night. Have a fun, safe 4th of July weekend. If you are in the US, or I mean, hell, if you want to celebrate the 4th of July outside the US, by all means. But either way, have a good weekend if you're traveling or doing any barbecues or shooting fireworks, especially. Take care, everybody. See y'all on Friday.